and Information Fusion Center, Indian Ocean region, which is co-located with it. So this has been reported by. Also, there has been an agreement with the Quad members, that is Indo-Pacific Maritime Domain Awareness. It has been surveyed by the satellites, right? So let us understand what is meant by IUU. What is IUU means? Illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. Illegal fishing means it is conducted by the foreign vessels in the water under the jurisdiction of the state without the permission of the state or in contravention of its law and regulations. So it is conducted by the foreign vessels under the jurisdiction of the state. So it is conducted by the vessels which is under the jurisdiction of the state, means which is given license by the state without the permission of the state or in the contravention. So if this is the allocated area of fishing and these vessels are going apart from this allocated area and they are fishing in the illegal areas, it is known as illegal fishing. Or unreported fishing means fishing which has not been reported to the state or its relevant national authority. And unregulated fishing means fishing which is conducted in a manner inconsistent with the state responsibilities. For example, if we consider an area, the state would have said that you should fish only for this particular time and you should be fishing only for the particular quantity, because you have to save the other quantity for the future generations. But if you are fishing more than the above prescribed law, it is known as unregulated fishing. So who regulates IUU fishing activities? According to the United Nations clause, means United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea, coastal nations are responsible for addressing IUU fishing areas within their respective EEZ. But here, in this news article, they have said that IUU has been found to be runs beyond above the economic exclusive zone. Means for India, they have said that economic exclusive zone is 15 kilometers from the coast, right? Apart from the 15 kilometers, it is said that beyond the economic exclusive zone. So there has been rampant IUU beyond the economic exclusive zone. And in India, organizations such as Indian Ocean Tuna Commission, Southern Indian Ocean Fisheries Agreement operating under the mandate of UNCLOS is regulatory bodies in Indian Ocean to monitor IUU fishing on high seas. So what is the impact of IUU fishing? IUU fishing depletes fish stocks, destroy marine habits, puts fishermen at disadvantage and impacts coastal communities. So you can see that when we fish beyond the limit, it will disrupt the environmental impact. It will create a huge environmental impact, right? So here it has been said that there has been a loss of 11 to 26 million tons of fish each year, which is estimated to have an economic value of US 10 to 23 billions. So is there any regulations regarding IUU fishing? Yes. The two regulations are Cape Town Agreement and Agreement on Port Seas Measures. Is India a signatory of both these measures? No. India is not the signatory of both these measures. So you should have to remember both these agreements, Cape Town Agreement as well as the Agreement on Port State Measures, which can be answered in prelims. Okay. So is there only environmental impact due to this fishing? No, we have to look it in another angles also. Recently in news, we have heard that China is using civilian ships to enhance navy capability and research. When we look at the outside, it will look like an civilian ships, but inside they are using navy technology and capabilities, so they can spy or even they can attack another ships. So they are practically they are upgrading their civilian ships to navy ships, but on the outside if we look, it will look like a civilian ship. So we have to be aware of China. Maybe they will use these Chinese ships in the Indian Ocean to spy the Indian ships. So this is a concern to Indian Navy. We know that China has been provoking us in many ways. It can provoke us using economy, it can provoke us using its force, or it can provoke us using psychological medias. For using economy, it can influence our neighbors as well as allies. Using force, it can use military. Using force, there is also another way of using indirect agents. Indirect agents means funding separatist groups or funding Maoists. Like that, they can fund using they can use also force and also psychological means they can use media for the propaganda or they can use media for spreading the misinformation. Recently in Galwan Valley we have seen that they have said that Indian soldiers have died in a large amount, but not even a Chinese soldiers have been reported, right? And they have been spreading their propaganda that China has emerged victorious in the Galwan Valley clash. Like that, it is known as propaganda and it is known as psychological warfare. So they are using three types of provoking: economy, force, as well as the psychological warfare. So we have seen the recent incidents. These incidents are related only to the land. You can see from April 2013, in the recent decade alone, we have seen around 10, 10 incidents in the land alone. But we have to notice that this Chinese, even though we don't have any naval border with the Chinese, they are provoking us in the Indian Ocean. That is a concern for Indian Navy. And according to the Global Firepower Index in the Navy, we can see that China ranks the top in the Global Fire Index of Navy. It has a ranking of around 777 points, whereas India, you can see, it has only scored 295 and scored 8th rank in the Global Firepower Index of Navy. Even the United States ranks third. So if you can see that out in the Quad countries, there are four Quad countries, right? In the four Quad countries, United States and India only ranks in the about top 10 ranking. And also if you add collectively of India as well as United States, you will get a rank around China. So China is leading in the Navy index. Also, we have seen the recent news in the recent decade. China has made many solar projects in this Sri Lanka's northern coast. And after the third party concern, that is, the third party concern refers to India. After the third party concern, they have cancelled their projects in Sri Lanka's northern coast, solar and wind hybrid power projects, right? Also, we have seen the Yuan Wang 5 that was shipped during August 16, right? It was a spy ship, and India has said their concern to the Sri Lankan authorities. And this is the recent news. We have seen that extra-regional fishing fleets have been present in the Indian Ocean, as well as we have seen another news that Chinese Navy has placed a ship known as Yuan Wang 6. It is also in spy ship. It was placed in the Indian Ocean during the time of India's missile test, particularly during the India's missile test. So it has been a concern, and China's position in Indian Ocean is rising. Also, we know the um, strategy of China, which is known as string of pearls. It has placed many um, strategic places around India. You can see from Pakistan, Gwadar, Oman, Djibouti, Kenya, Tanzania, Seychelles, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Bangladesh. Literally, they have encircled the whole India using their strategy known as string of pearls. So, does India have any solutions in regarding to this problem? In regarding to the rising of China's power in the Indian Ocean? Let us see. In May 24, 2022, a Quad meeting has been held in Japan, and they have set up a new strategy known as Maritime Security Initiative. Here you have to understand they have set up a satellite based um, tracking system which is used for particularly track the shipping, which is known as dark shipping. So what is meant by dark shipping? So let me explain what is meant by dark shipping. See, you can see two images, right? In the left side images, you can see only few dots, whereas in right side images, you can see lot of dots, right? So what is the difference in both the images? Here, the actual amount of ships that is present in this actually in South China Sea is right side image. But when you see in the left side image, you can't see many ships in the South China Sea, right? So actually, a ship has a transponder system. This transponder system is directly connected to the satellite. So when they go for illegal or any unregulated fishing, what Chinese ships do is they will switch off their transponder systems so that the satellites can't um, track the ships there. So they are using this as a strategy. So you can see here, actually the ships present in the ocean is which is depicted in the right side image, but in the left side image you can see only few ships there. This is a strategy. So in order to find this dark shipping method, so, Quad members have came up with a new strategy in the satellite system to track this amount of ships that is present in the ocean alone. This is known as dark shipping method. So you can see dark ships are vessels with the automatic identification system. So nowadays, whenever a ship or a boat which goes to the international waters should have automatic identification system. Any ships, any country with any ships which goes to international water should have automatic identification system, but Chinese are doing fraud in these things. They are using this transponder when they are doing illegal things. They are switching off these transponders so that they are not detectable. The crucial maritime pact between Quad members will enhance the security apparatus of Indo-Pacific region. So what are the other methods? Methods means we can conduct regular Navy exercise with Quad countries. So one of the most relevant exercise is Malabar exercise, where we conduct with the Quad countries of US, Japan, Australia, and our country. And recently, many countries have also have expressed their desire to join in this Malabar exercise and exercises with Japan known as GymX and Australia, right? And United States. Regular exercise had to be conducted in the Indo-Pacific region. Also, we have to enhance the Navy capabilities. Recently, we have seen that India's ranking in the Navy capabilities around 8th rank and China's rank is first rank. So, we have to enhance our capability. So, one of the steps in enhancing the Navy's capabilities, Indian aircraft carrier Vikrant. So we can see our Navy's chief's statement. INS Vikrant can be significant addition to the Indian Navy's capabilities to safeguard India's maritime turf in the face of China's expanding naval power. The Indian Navy believes that it needs more aircraft carriers to dominate the Indian Ocean and deter the Chinese Navy from challenging it in the maritime backyard. So as you can see that this ship is not alone enough, as this is one of the step in deterring the China's navies from our own maritime backyard. But we have to add more fleets in our um, collection of ships so that we can deter the China's navy from in our own maritime backyard. Also, India have came up with a new strategy. This is not new strategy. India has also came up with a strategy to counter the China's influence. It is known as diamond necklace strategy. You can see we India have a port in Chabahar. So in Chabahar and India's have a alliance with the Oman's navy. It is known as Dukam Navy in the place known as Dukam Navy. And India is trying to build a navy, surveillance in the Seychelles Island, and the island's name is Assumption Island, and in Indonesia, and in the Strait of Morocco, and in the Vietnam, Japan, as well as Mongolia. So India is also trying to counter the influence of Chinese navy's capabilities. Also, we have to friend with the country which is in enemy with the China. So there is a proverb that an enemy's enemy is our friend, right? So similarly, China has border dispute with around 18 countries. which includes both border as well as in the sea. As you can see in the South China Sea, three islands known as Parcel Islands, Scarborough Islands, and Spratly Islands. These islands has been in dispute with the China, with the countries like Philippines, Malaysia, as well as Vietnam. So there has been a concept which has given by United Nations known as China 9 dash line, and these islands has been in dispute with the other South China Sea countries. So we can strengthen our relationship with these countries like China, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Philippines, and Taiwan, right? And we can conduct naval exercises with ASEAN countries like Singapore, Thailand. The exercise known as Simtex, and India-Indonesia exercise Samudra Shakti, and India-Indonesian Coastal Guard exercise known as Indo-Ind Corpat. Right? Like this, we can strengthen our naval relationship with exercises conducted with the ASEAN countries. Also, we have to strengthen our neighborhood policy. India have to give more economic aid to the countries which is in neighbor with the India. So, as you can see, India have started economic partnership with the Bangladesh. India have given assistance to the crisis debt country Sri Lanka, and India have granted aids to the Maldives, which has been pivotal, right? So, India has been giving grants to the neighboring countries to counter the influence of China. And according to the IK Gujarat, he has said that India's engagement with the countries should be based on consultative and non-reciprocal. See the words consultative. So consultative means here, the word consultative refers to India should not um, force their opinion on these small neighborhood countries. Rather, India should be consultative on these small neighbor countries. There has been topic that India is a big bully or big brother, which is always bullying small countries. So, in order to counter this imaginary, imaginary idea, IK Gujarat has given some ideas, which is known as IK Gujarat Doctrine. Here he has said that India's engagement with these countries should be based on consultative. India should not bully. Rather, India's discussion should be consultative, non-reciprocal. Means India is a big country, whereas you can see Sri Lanka, Maldives, Sri Lanka. These countries are smaller countries. Nepal, Bhutan. Here, India can give aid to these countries, but India should not expect these countries to give it back. So it is known as non-reciprocal and outcome-oriented approach. India should fund or aid these countries which should have a substantial output, which focuses on delivering benefits like greater connectivity, improved infrastructure, strong development, cooperation sectors, security, and broader people-to-people contacts. India's policy of first neighborhood comes focus on creating mutually beneficial people-oriented regional frameworks for the stability as well as prosperity. So as you can see, based on this topic, you can submit one main answer. China's growing presence in the Indian Ocean region is a concern for India and regional stability. Discuss implications and steps taken by India in this regard. Interested aspirants can submit this main answer to my email ID. So what I have given is idea. Develop your own idea and give your answer according to it to this mail ID, right? So the topic is not yet finished. There is some other points also, right? So what are the solutions? India can enhance its neighborhood with space diplomacy. India can send its satellites through space diplomacy, right? India can give economic aid to the countries, like what we have done to Sri Lanka, the debt crisis country. India has lent its economic aid. India can give military and defense cooperation. India can give technical management. India can give disaster management, and as well as we can solve some bilateral issues. Mainly we can give connectivity. When there is a good connectivity, there will be good trade, and the relationship of countries will automatically develop. And we can also use like many multilateral agencies like BIMSTEC, ASEAN, Quad, and others to counter the influence of China. But still, India is doing in these regions, but still we are lagging. As you can see, one of the example is Sri Lanka's infrastructure financing. Sri Lanka is one of our neighboring country, right? And you can see for their infrastructure, who is financing more? You can see China is financing more than 32 billions, right? India is financing only around 6 billion. So this has been a negative disadvantage. Even the you can see ADB, Japan, as well as World Bank, it is significantly lesser than the China. Even the bank, ADB bank, is significantly lesser financing lesser than the China. So this has been an concern. This has been a disadvantage too. So China is on the top position, which is dominating in our neighborhood countries as well as on the Indian Ocean region. So India has to come up with the plans to counter the effect of China. Thank you.